They aren't afraid of anything. They move forward like a locomotive and develop very quickly. In just a few years, they have remarkably become leaders in the Russian market among those who offer their own products.
Got it.
Interesting. Is there anything from a marketing perspective that you can highlight, or something they did that, well, their story as I imagine it? I mean, I haven't been to Russia in 100 years, but they are still a Russian project. As far as I understand, they just take a person, train them, and then pull them into all their projects. So their process of interacting with clients is practically endless. They take them by the hand, introduce them to yachting, and guide them through it. I mean, their lifetime value, LTV, is wild. It's just insane. They don't let go of that client. They immerse them in their family and keep them close. In that regard, they're doing a great job. Got it.
Listen, that's really cool and an interesting perspective. At the very least, I think it's a good start. Tell me about the startup. We've already started discussing this, but I'm curious to understand what's happening with you in numbers. So, when you started all this, what does your team look like now? How many people are there, and what kind of investments did you make? If you can share. I understand that investors came in later, but I'm curious, especially for an average user thinking about launching something like this, how much money do you need to at least give it a shot?
Listen, as I already said, you can start trying without any money at all.
If the competencies are good, at least somewhere, yes.
If you have something to monetize, you can monetize it. In my case, I mentioned that with the Excel spreadsheet, it was without any investments, but my capital is my friends, fellow captains with whom I've been in touch.
But, again, you said that everything really started to take off when you got your first investment and you began to develop, so to speak, something. Can you at least tell me about that?
At the start, it was actually a funny amount. 10,000 euros was invested just to see if this model would work.
So were you doing all of this by yourself?
Yes.
And at the moment, when you started developing some kind of app, what was that like?
When I started developing the app, I got a partner who understood digital marketing and had a team that knew how to build an app. So these are Russian guys. They also live here in Montenegro, and they handled that part for me, meaning I generated ideas, set tasks, and they digitized it and did some promotion. At that time, it was much easier to do than it is now because the yachting market was growing. He started to rise and recover right after the pandemic, and it was much easier now as the scale of the project has grown. They can no longer handle these tasks for me. So the team has expanded. We already have 11 people working on the project. At the start, it was just the two of us handling this.
Cool. Now you're talking about 11 people, and you already have a rough idea of the investments from the beginning. How much investment is generally needed on average to reach some kind of milestone? I wouldn't say it's self-sustaining, but I mean that moment where you realize that, so to speak, the project might actually go somewhere. At this point, 110,000 euros have already been invested in this project. So how much investment is generally needed on average to reach some kind of milestone? I wouldn't say it's self-sustaining, but it's more like a glimpse, where you realize that, so to speak, the project might actually go somewhere. At this point, 110,000 euros have already been invested in this project.
And now we are attracting another 75,000. This is just to get ready our project for scaling, just for testing hypotheses, creating the app, and finding all the processes. We will have spent 175,000 euros by the end of the season in order to ensure success.
And now, here's the thing. How long does it take? If we take the dry residue, not counting the moments when swans flew in, if we remove all that, in ideal conditions, how much time would it take to get through this?
Well, it all depends on different factors. It all depends on whether you have in-house developers or if you're using outsourced developers and how involved they will be in the process. So a developer might dedicate 2 hours a day to you, or they might dedicate 8 hours.
I agree here, but it's always a story about some kind of partnership because, well, either you do it yourself.
It's a story about expenses, balance, time, and money. If you have enough money and can pay professionals, I agree. They will get it done for you pretty quickly. I mean, writing the app itself takes about 3 months. They will get it done for you pretty quickly. So writing the app itself takes about 3 months, but bringing it to market is a whole different story.
Well, if we consider that you are currently in the market,
How much we are still only at the stage of, we're at the pre-seed stage.